He faked being sick to test his family's love, but what they did next shattered everything he thought he knew. Ethan was a 35-year-old contractor, the kind of guy who fixed everything except the things that truly mattered, like how distant his family had become. Holidays were quieter. Calls went unanswered. Birthdays got reduced to emojis and late-night texts. He couldn't remember the last time his sister visited or when his dad asked how he was really doing. So one day, on a tired impulse and a bitter heart, Ethan did something reckless. He sent a group message to his family. Just got back from the doctor. Serious. They think it might be something bad. I don't want to worry anyone, but I could use some support. It was a lie, a test. Something inside him wanted proof that he still mattered, that someone would drop everything for him for once. The replies trickled in. His sister, "Oh no, what kind of bad? I'm sure it's nothing." His dad, "Hang in there. Let me know how it turns out." A cousin liked the message but said nothing. His mom, the only one who tried calling, left a voicemail. "You'll be fine, honey. Just get some rest." That was it. No one came over. No one asked if he needed help getting to a second opinion. No one even offered to bring soup. Ethan sat on his couch, phone in hand, heart sinking. He hadn't expected flowers or a parade, but he hadn't expected silence either. He started the lie, but the truth that followed cut deeper than he ever thought it could. That night, Ethan lay awake staring at the ceiling, the dim hum of his old fan the only sound in the room. He kept replaying the texts, the missed calls that never came, the way his mom's voice had sounded. Loving, yes, but distant, like she'd already convinced herself it wasn't serious, like she didn't have room in her life for another emergency. He hadn't cried in years, but that night something cracked. The next morning, still in the same clothes, he opened his fridge. Nothing but ketchup packets and leftover rice. He stared at it, then laughed bitterly. If I really were sick, I'd be starving alone, he thought. By noon, he got a message from his sister. "Hey, everything okay? I told Mom it's probably stress. Call us when you feel better. Not if, when." Like the whole thing was an inconvenience. Feeling ashamed and angry, Ethan didn't respond. Instead, he called a friend from high school. Someone he hadn't seen in years, but who once stayed up with him all night after a bad breakup. "Hey," Ethan said hesitantly. "I know it's random, but you want to grab coffee?" An hour later, they were sitting across from each other in a quiet cafe. His friend listened, really listened, as Ethan told the truth. The fake illness, the silent reaction, the ache he couldn't shake. "I just wanted to feel like I mattered," Ethan whispered. His friend didn't judge, just nodded and said, "You do. Maybe not to them the way you hoped, but you still do." That sentence landed harder than all the silence Ethan had faced. He realized he'd been chasing validation from people who'd long stopped showing up, and ignoring the ones who still would, if he just reached out. Over the next few days, Ethan stopped checking his phone every 5 minutes. The silence from his family remained. No surprise visits, no real concern, just the occasional emoji or vague text asking if he was feeling better yet. But something inside him had shifted. Instead of waiting for their care, he focused on the people who'd already shown it. He reconnected with old friends, called a coworker he once helped during a divorce, even visited his neighbor, Mrs. Jensen, the widowed woman he used to shovel snow for as a kid. She welcomed him with warm cookies and warmer conversation. For the first time in years, Ethan felt seen. One evening, while helping Mrs. Jensen fix a leaky faucet, she suddenly asked, "Your parents? They don't live far, do they?" "No," he said, tightening a valve. 15 minutes. She gave a sad little smile. Funny how people can live close and still feel so far. That night, Ethan sat down and wrote a letter. Not an email, not a text, a letter. It wasn't angry. It wasn't dramatic. It was honest. He wrote about how alone he'd felt, about why he sent the message, about what their silence had revealed. He didn't ask for an apology. He didn't beg for anything. He just told them the truth calmly, clearly, finally. He mailed 3 copies, one to his sister, one to his mom, one to his dad. Then he let go. He no longer needed to be sick to know who would show up. 2 weeks passed. No replies, no calls, no unexpected knocks on the door. And strangely, Ethan was okay with that, because something had changed, not them, but him. He'd stopped begging for crumbs from people who didn't know how to feed love the way he needed it. He had started building something new. Small dinners with friends, Saturday hikes, quiet mornings with black coffee and no guilt. He even signed up for a woodworking class, something he'd always wanted to try but never made time for. Then one evening, just as he was leaving the shop, his phone buzzed. It was a message from his dad. Just one line. "Got your letter. We didn't know how bad things had gotten. I'm sorry." Minutes later, another ping. His sister. "I didn't realize how far apart we'd drifted. Want to meet for lunch?" Ethan stood there in the empty parking lot, heart thudding. Not from joy or pain, but something quieter. Closure. Or maybe the start of something new. The next week, they met at a diner from their childhood. The conversation was awkward, imperfect, but real. There were no excuses, just a shared agreement. They'd all missed something, and maybe now, they'd stop pretending not to. As Ethan drove home that night, he realized the biggest lie hadn't been the sickness. It was the idea that he had to test people to prove his worth. Because the truth was, his worth didn't need their permission. And from that day forward, he promised himself, no more pretending, no more silence, just truth spoken, even when it's hard.